Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, my beautiful hot messes. My name is Mistress Lavender, and today I'm reading The 48 Laws of Power. You know what I'm saying? It is a national bestseller. It is made by Robert Greene with the E at the end, and he's also the author of the book I read before, so if you haven't seen those videos, watch it. It was The Art of Seduction, a very good book, but I realize I have a lot of his books now. So this is it's a thick book, but you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna read it, you know what I'm saying? So, the 48 Laws of Power. Now, I have a question. Do y'all read the contents? Nah, I'll just get to it when I get to it. I'll get to it when I get to it. Jeez, a lot of pages. Okay, should I read the preface, however you say it? I might read one a day. Okay, we're starting at page 1. Law number 1. Never outshine the master. Judgment. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please and impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite. Inspire fear and insecurity. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. So never outshine the master. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go. Okay, page 2. Transgression of the law. Nicholas Farquhar, Louis X1 XI. Okay, Louis XIV. I'm gonna say the 10th, the 8th. Ooh, that's bad. Okay, Louis XIV's finance minister is the first. In the first years of his reign, was a generous man who loved lavish parties, pretty women, and poetry. He also loved money, for he led an extravagant lifestyle. Farquhar, I feel like I'm saying it so wrong, was clever and very much indispensable to the king. So when the prime minister, Jules Mazarin, died in Girl, can you read? In 1661, the finance minister expected to be named the successor. Instead, the king decided to abolish the position. Ooh. This and other signs made Farquhar suspect that he was falling out of favor. And so he decided to integrate himself with the king by staging the most spectacular party the world had ever seen. The party's ostensible purpose would be to commemorate the completion of Farquhar's chateau. I need to go to Paris. Vic-Omet. What? But its real function was to pay tribute to the king, the guest of honor. The most brilliant nobility of Europe and some of the greatest minds of the time. La Fontaine, La Rochefoucauld, Madame de Sèvres attended the party. Molière wrote a play for the occasion, in which he himself was to perform at the evening's conclusion. The party began with a lavish 7-course dinner, featuring foods from the Orient never before tasted in France, as well as new dishes created especially for the night. The meal was accompanied with music commissioned by Farquhar to honor the king. After dinner, there was a promenade through the chateau's gardens. The grounds and fountains of Vaux-le-Vicomte were to be the inspiration for versatility. I can't wait till I get better at these words, because watch. A year from now, I'll be like, you know? Farquhar's personality accompanied the young king through the geometrically aligned arrangement of shrubbery and flower beds. Arriving at the garden's canals, they witnessed a fireworks display, which was followed by the performance of Molaire's play. The party ran well into the night, and everyone agreed it was the most amazing affair they had ever attended. The next day, Farquhar was arrested by the king's head musketeer, D'Argenati. Okay, let me try. Artagnan. 3 months later, he went on trial for stealing from the country's treasury. Actually, most of the stealing he was accused of, he had done on the king's behalf and with the king's permission. Farquhar was found guilty and sent to the most isolated prison in France, high in the Pioneer Mountains, where he spent the last 20 years of his life in solitary confinement. Ooh. So the interpretation. Louis the XIV, the sun god, was a proud and arrogant man who wanted to be the center of attention at all times. Ooh. He could not countenance being outdone in lavishness by anyone, and certainly not by his finance minister. So Louis, if you don't know, Louis was like, oh, so my minister think he really big bad. Not today. So to succeed, he could not be being outdone but in lavishness by anyone, and certainly not his finance minister. To succeed Farquhar, Louis chose Jean-Baptiste Colbert, a man famous for his parsimony and for giving the dullest parties in Paris. Ooh. Colbert made sure that any money liberated from the treasury went straight into Louis's hands. With the money, Louis built a palace even more magnificent than Farquhar's, the glorious palace of Versailles. He used the same architects, decors, and garden designer. And at Versailles, Louis hosted parties even more extravagant than the ones that cost Farquhar his freedom. Oh, let us examine the situation. The evening of the party, as Farquhar's precedents speculated on spectacle to Louis, each more magnificent than the one before. He imagined the affair by demonstrating his loyalty and devotion to the king. Not only did he think the party would put him back into the king's favor, he thought it would show his good taste, his connections, and his popularity, making him indispensable to the king and demonstrating that he would make an excellent prime minister. Instead, however, each new spectacle, each appreciative smile bestowed by the guests on Farquhar made it seem to Louis that his own friends and subjects were more charmed by the finance minister than by the king himself, and that Farquhar was actually flaunting his wealth and power, rather than flattering Louis XIV. Farquhar's elaborate party offended the king's vanity. Louis would not admit this to anyone, of course. Instead, he found a convenient excuse to rid himself of the man who had inadvertently made him feel insecure. Such is the fate, in some form or another, of all those who unbalance the master's sense of self, poke holes in his vanity, or make him doubt his preeminence. When the evening began, Farquhar was at the top of the world. But by the time he ended, he was at the bottom. Voltaire, 1694, 1778. So the observance of the law. In the early 1600s, 16,000s, no, 1600s. Girl, we're reading. That's all that matters. The Italian astronomer and mathematician Galileo found himself in a precarious position. He depended on the generosity of great rulers to support his research, and so, like all Renaissance scientists, he would sometimes make gifts of his inventions and discoveries to the leading patrons of the time. Once, for instance, he presented a military compass he had invented to the Duke of Gonzaga. Then he dedicated a book explaining the use of the compass to the Medicis. Both rulers were grateful, and through them, Galileo was able to find more students to teach. No matter how great the discovery, however, his patrons usually paid him with gifts, not cash. This made for a life of constant insecurity and dependence. There must be an easier way, he thought. Galileo hit a new strategy in 1610. When he discovered the moons of Jupiter. Instead of dividing the discovery among his patrons, giving one the telescope he had used, dedicated a book to another, and so on, as he had done in the past, he decided to focus exclusively on the Medicus. He chose the Medicus for one reason. Shortly after Cosmo, I had established the Medici destiny. In 1540, he had made Jupiter the mightiest of the gods, the Medici symbol, a symbol of power that went beyond politics and banking, one linked to ancient Rome and its divinities. Galileo turned his discovery of Jupiter's moon into a cosmic event. honoring the medicus' greatness. Shortly after the discovery, he announced that the brightest stars, the moons of Jupiter, offered themselves in the heavens to his telescope at the same time as Cosmos' second enthronement. He said that the numbers of the moons, 4, harmonized with the numbers of the medicus. Cosmo 2 had 3 brothers, and that the moons orbited Jupiter as these 4 suns revolved around Cosmo 1, the dynasty's founder. More than coincidence, this showed that the heavens themselves reflected the ascendancy of the Medici family. After he dedicated the discovery to Medici, Galileo commissioned an emblem representing Jupiter sitting on a cloud with the 4 stars circling around him, and presented this to Cosmo II as a symbol of the link to the stars. In 1610, Cosmo II made Galileo his official court philosopher and mathematician, with a full salary. For a scientist, this was the coup of a lifetime. The days of begging for a patron was over. Interpretation. In one stroke, Galileo gained more with his new strategy than he had in years of begging. Beggar. The reason is simple. All masters want to appear more brilliant than other people. They do not care about science or empirical truth or the latest invention. They care about their name and their glory. Galileo gave the Medicis infinitely more glory by linking their name with cosmic forces than he had by making them the patrons of some new scientific gadget or discovery. Scientists are not spared the vagaries of court life and Patreon. Patronage. They too must serve masters who hold the purse strings, and their great intellectual powers can make the master feel insecure, as if he were there to only supply the funds, an ugly, ignoble job. The producer of a great work wants to feel he is more than just the provider of the financing. He wants to appear creative and powerful, and also more important than the work produced in his name. Instead of insecurity, you must give him glory. Galileo did not challenge the intellectual authority of the Medici with his discovery, or make them feel inferior in any way. By literally aligning them with the stars, he made them shine brilliantly among the courts of Italy. He did not outshine the master. He made the master outshine the others. Period. I'm going to stop there. I'm only on page 4. But yeah, so I'm going to continue to Keys to Power. How long is one chapter? Oh, I was almost there. No, that's fine. I've been reading for a while. Next episode, I'll continue, and then I'll finish the first law. But I'm not going to, these are pretty long, so it might take a long time. But reading is cool, reading is fun, and you should do it. My name is Mr. Lavender, and I'm reading The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. And I'll see you next episode where we continue on page 4, starting at Keys to Power. Bye. Have a great day, and make sure to follow me. I'm so serious.